Hi, Stephen, your Hardship Real Estate Pro here again with another one-on-one interview. I have another special guest here today, and if you've watched any of our other 20 plus videos now, I feel like we're finally getting the swing of things here on the channel. I never introduced our guests because I just again I've gotten really bad at being able to do that. Maybe I'll change that in the future. I don't know, but that's just how I've done it. So if you'll go ahead, tell us who you are and what you do, and we'll get started that way.
Awesome. Well, yeah, Stephen, I appreciate you letting me come on. This is going to be fun. My name's Alan Thorne. I am a medical equipment specialist and an insurance agent I'm based up in northern Utah, in Logan, Utah, for anyone who's heard of that town. I cover Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Nevada, most of the states in the Intermountain West. And my whole business is around helping seniors understand their options for independent living, whether it's your Medicare or medical equipment and those types of things. So that's where my passion is. And I think that's what got us in touch in the first place. We both kind of have the same interest, don't we?
Hmm. That's right. Tell me about this MedMobile. What is that? Tell me about
Oh,
what you provide.
yeah. I'm going to have to do a kind of a whole history here. And I hope I don't go too long. But basically, I'm what's I've got a medical certification. It's ATP. So if you see my business card, it'll say Alan Thorne ATP. That means Assistive Technology Professional. So I've spent years in the mobility world where when people have a chronic mobility need, doctors would encourage them to reach out to me. My job was to help them navigate their Medicare or whatever health insurance they had to get Medicare or their health insurance to pay for the medical equipment they needed, specifically related to mobility. So we're looking at high-end powered, custom-built manual chairs that these people are probably going to live in. And over the time of me doing that, I found there was two kind of holes in the industry that weren't getting addressed. One, the first one that I dealt with was the Medicare side. There's a lot of insurance agents out there, a lot of people selling Medicare plans and helping people with that. But there are very few that have actually worked in the medical industry. And so when I sit down with a potential client or customer and we look over their Medicare benefits, you'll see for medical equipment, it's called DME in the paperwork. It means durable medical equipment. It says your plan pays 80%, you pay 20%. And that's the information most agents have. But they don't see that doctors have to file paperwork and therapists have to file paperwork and there's pre-authorizations. And so my clients were not getting the best information from their insurance agents on how this insurance was going to take care of them. These people are not getting the assistance they need from their insurance agents because the agents just don't have that experience. So I became a Medicare agent to help navigate that for people from the perspective of a medical provider, someone who's actually built the insurance. But then the other hole that we fill with RT MedMobile is there's a lot of products out there that insurance just doesn't help with. And so if someone needs a high-end power chair or a manual chair or a CPAP machine, most of the time the doctors and the medical professionals know a company. They can say, here, go talk to these guys, they'll help you. But there's other things like you mentioned, the ramps, stair lifts in people's homes, certain scooters, certain walkers, power lift recliners that insurance doesn't help people with. But these are still necessary medical products to help people live independently. But they have to be paid for out of pocket. Insurance just doesn't cover certain these categories. So we started RT as a way to educate people as to what do we do when insurance stops helping and how to get the best equipment for your buck. So it's kind of all three, where now I help people through insurance to get certain products. I help people cash pay for certain products, and I help them get the insurance plans they need to make sure they don't have challenges with getting any of those things along the way.
Within our industry, I think there's a lot of people who kind of come and go in the senior space, way more in real estate. And you have a lot of people that you can tell where they have experience with seniors and they maybe came from a different area. Like, you have like this medical experience and these other things, but there's some people who come in as opportunists to kind of make money on this demographic because they see kind of some things changing in our country. It's kind of the new thing I tell people is everyone's all about, oh, people just want to prey on grandma. And I'm like, I don't think that's what it is anymore. It's not that just, oh, we're trying to trick grandma into signing the dotted line. I think, I don't think it's like that anymore. It's more like you have a lot of people who are maybe entrepreneurial or getting into business that think there's this great opportunity, but they don't have any business experience with seniors. They don't really
Mhm.
know how these things work. So there's not a depth of knowledge, so to speak. And I think that's
Yeah.
what you're saying you bring to the table that is
Mhm.
very different.
And it's worth noting, obviously, there are some malicious actors in the industry. And that happens in any industry. People who are just trying to take advantage of victims who maybe don't know difference. But I like to think those are the outliers. And we don't see as much of it as I think we're led to believe. But to your point, yes, there's a lot of people, especially what I see in the insurance world. It's very easy to become an insurance agent, and every insurance agent I've ever met is well-meaning, and they're all trying hard to take good care of their clients and to be honest and do a good job. I'm not seeing them maliciously trying to hurt people. Quite the contrary. But there's a whole other side of it that the insurance agents aren't seeing. This is what the billing people in your doctor's office are having to deal with when you get your insurance plan. It's how your insurance company is interacting with your doctor and with your medical equipment provider and with your therapist and what's happening there. And there just are very few agents who have seen that side of this world. And so I came from the opposite direction. Instead of coming as an insurance agent and learning about insurance, I started as a medical provider that was on the receiving end of these insurance, asking them to get to pay for services and fighting and doing paperwork and everything else. And from there, I moved to the insurance side. So all of a sudden, my clients that work with me get an in-depth look at, here's what your doctor's office is seeing, and here's what your medical equipment provider is seeing, and here's what your insurance agent is seeing.
What it sounds like is it's a more a la carte service, which is again, I think more important within this industry. What do you think is one of the more common misconceptions in your business or just a common misconception within, medical equipment or insurance that people constantly ask you that we could say in the video that, oh gosh, like it just needs to be out there. Like more people need to know this misconception and what the truth is. Like, let's bust a myth right now.
Yeah, I touched on one a little bit, and that is that everybody that interacts with seniors is trying to scam them. And I don't think there's as much of that as we're culturally led to believe. Obviously, it does exist. So I encourage our seniors to be very careful about who they interact with, but it's not as widespread as we're led to believe. But the other thing we have to keep in mind, and kind of the reason I got into the insurance business in the first place, is not all insurance plans are created equal. Okay. And just to get into, kind of the nuts and bolts, and I try to explain how this works. When someone goes on Medicare, they can really go one of three routes. They can have just their Medicare, which pays most of their medical costs, and they have copays. They can get Medicare with a supplement plan, which their Medicare pays 80% of their doctor's office visit. Their supplement plan, pays their copay or, different levels of their copay depending on what plan they select. And the third one is they get what's called a Medicare Advantage plan. Now, Medicare Advantage plan is a private company that essentially works like most health insurance companies people are working with. There's now an out-of-pocket maximum, there's copays for services and different things like that. When you look at them on paper, a lot of them are promising very similar things. They all have a good product offering. They look really good on paper a lot of the time. But for certain needs, different advantage plans are going to take better care of your personal needs than other ones will. And this is kind of why I got into it is I would see insurance agents setting my wheelchair patients up with one company or the other, and I would have to say, hey, you know what, this company is actually a little more difficult to work with. when it comes to your needs. Whereas this company over here is, we've had a lot better experience working with them. And so it's important to kind of have that understanding because they're not all the same. And depending on what your individual needs are, there's not a one size fits all fit. And I see a lot of people kind of getting stuck in that. Well, if you've seen one, you've seen them all. But when you dig to the deeper levels, there's some huge differences that should be addressed with every single individual looking at Medicare. So that's probably the biggest myth I would like to bust is, you know, you got to get a deeper understanding of what's going on with the company that's providing your health insurance because they're not all going to behave the same way.
Yeah, it's funny. I think one of the things that just talking about insurance that I personally can relate to, obviously, I don't deal with Medicare, right?
Yeah.
Because not in that demographic, but, I personally am dealing with some stuff with life insurance, and, the
Mhm.
broker, insurance agent I've been dealing with has been so terrible. I think it's really prudent for people to figure out what someone's experience is, and it's very difficult. You said in the insurance world, much like the real estate world, it's so easy to get a license, and people flood into it, and finding out their experience can be difficult, but then again, people still ask the wrong questions about experience. Like, they may ask, like, "How many years have you done it?" Or, "How many this and that?" And it's just say in my end, it's like, "How many homes do you sell a year?" And people don't really know what the right answer is for that. Like, if someone says, "Oh, I sold, like, 30 or 40 homes," people think, "Oh, that's nothing." I'm like, "Actually, that's a lot in terms of real estate.
Yeah.
That's a lot." They expect, like, to hear. I remember talking to someone in my wife's family, and I said some number, and he's like, "Oh, I thought realtors sold 5 or 10 homes a week." They have no idea. So, it's just sometimes people don't know the right questions to ask, so I think a video like this is important to talk about some of those misconceptions, you know? It sounds like maybe what a potential scenario you deal with is probably people who need equipment and figuring out if it actually is covered, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and, oh my gosh, like, trying to navigate that has got to be, just hellacious. So,
Mhm.
I would imagine, I don't know, maybe talk about that process or some of the things that people think would be covered that just almost never is covered or stuff that is almost always covered by Medicare in terms of equipment. Maybe you can just talk about some things there.
Maybe the best way to explain this is to tell you what my interaction with my clients is. Typically, I get a phone call when a person's independent mobility in their home is starting to suffer. You're nervous that mom or dad are now a fall risk. We don't want mom to have a fall and get hurt while she's home by herself. That tends to be when I get that call. Usually, when I go to the home and talk to them, I will inform them that I am an insurance agent and I understand Medicare. I'm not able to go beyond that, just, Medicare policy. They have to actually ask me if I can help them with Medicare. So if we ignore the Medicare side, I'm there as a medical equipment expert. And first thing I do is I'm coming into the home and we're talking to mom and we're saying, okay, what's going on? Have you had any falls? Why did you have falls? What's your health situation like? Are you getting better? Are you getting worse? Where are the risks in your home? And then we start talking about, okay, what can we do to alleviate it? Suppose really mom's pretty healthy, but occasionally she doesn't pick her feet up high enough and she trips on a rug. In that situation, I'm saying, you know what? If we get rid of this rug and I get you a walker, you're going to be okay. And, and that's going to help with the falls. We're going to talk about a shower chair in your shower so you don't slip in the tub, some grab bars by the toilet to help you get up, maybe a raised toilet seat. Now, there's a lot of things I just listed. There's of all those things, there's different categories. So the first thing, obviously, get rid of the rug. That's something that doesn't cost any money. It just goes. But now you need a walker. If you want your insurance to help you, insurance companies do have a reimbursement level for walkers. Typically, that'll cover a portion of your cost for one of those basic aluminum walkers that you see that have the tennis balls on the bottom. Okay, we've all seen those. We're familiar with them. Insurance will pay a little bit to help you get one of those. But if you want a good walker that you can fold up and it has wheels and has a seat you can sit down on, your insurance is now out of the picture. They're not helping with that walker. People who don't understand that might show up and say, yeah, your insurance will cover this for you. Here you go. And people always end up being disappointed. Now, if the need is more serious, that mom's had a stroke and can't use one leg, which is a hard thing to talk about, and needs a wheelchair. We need her in something that she can get around safely because she isn't walking well anymore. Now we're into the realm of what insurance will pay for. I can have a manual chair custom built to fit you, and I can get your insurance to pay for it if we jump through the right hoops. A power wheelchair, I can get your insurance to pay for that. But there's a catch. Your home has to be considered accessible. If you want, a powered wheelchair and you want Medicare to pay for it, I need to be able to check a box that says, yes, you can use this chair inside your home. Well, if there's not a ramp coming into the house, I can't honestly check that box. And so ethically, we can't ask for authorization on that. If you live upstairs and your chair, can't get to your bedroom upstairs, we got to reconsider your living situation. And so then we're considering, do I need a stair lift to get you up the stairs to your bedroom and a walker at the top of the stairs? Do we need a ramp that allows you to get in so now you can use your wheelchair and get Medicare to pay for your wheelchair? Of those things I just mentioned, Medicare will pay for the wheelchair. They won't pay for a stair lift. They won't pay for a ramp. And people shouldn't be promising their clients that they can get those things covered because it just won't happen. And it ends up being a big disappointment. It's nice. I don't know if that answered your question, but it's nice when I can come in and provide a list of here's items that are going to help you do better and be more independent. Here's a list, short list of things that your insurance will cover. You're going to get some assistance getting these paid for. Here's a list of things that your insurance isn't going to help you pay for. So we need to make a plan and help you get those so you can be safe. And helping people understand those categories is huge because it helps with planning, it helps with family support, and it keeps people from being frustrated and disappointed.
I love the fact that you actually consult them and you're talking about maybe what environmental factors could be causing some issues as well, because falls are a big issue for seniors. And
Mhm.
again, this just goes back to kind of the beginning of our video. It's just, someone who is preying on seniors would be like, oh, yeah, let's get you to do this so I can make money and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you just need to do this. It's fine. It's just like I had an appointment yesterday, a lady wanting to sell her house, and I was there actually with the reverse mortgage specialist. And we looked at her house. It's immaculate. She only bought it 3 years ago. It's new construction, all this kind of stuff. And it's just, why do you want to even sell? It was just really bizarre. And she's one of the last calls I need to make today. And it's just going to be, Mrs. Blank, I know you want to do this and, you have a right to talk to other people. I can't, prevent you from doing anything, but I think selling your house is a mistake. I have no interest in doing that for you.
Yeah.
I just doing that for you. And, and that's just kind of the senior space. And some of that's opportunistic, some is praying. But yeah, I like that. I really do appreciate that.
It will be great to work with you in your business because if we're looking at the best interests of the people we're talking to, there are different solutions. And, for me to go in, I've had clients that I've looked and said, there's ADA requirements when I install a ramp that have to be met. And so if they've got really a lot of stairs going up to their front lawn, they might have to install a $15,000 ramp, $20,000 to have an ADA compliant ramp coming out of their home. It's great if I can refer them to a real estate agent and I can say, hey, let's figure out what your house is worth. Can I get you into a single level home with no stairs? Sell this house, buy that house. Will that make more financial sense than installing a $15,000 ramp?
Mhm.
And this, I think this is a shortcoming of our culture, really, is if I need a plumber, I know who to call. If I need an electrician, I know who to call. If mom needs a wheelchair, who do you call? We don't know. And, every single one of us, if we make it to the age of 65, we're going to go on Medicare.
Yeah.
Most people, when they turn 65, they don't know who to talk to get answers on their Medicare. So to have people like yourself that are willing to say, hey, here are the issues facing our seniors, and here's resources and solutions. It's very vital because it's not something that's talked about until they meet. And at that point, it's usually a very stressful situation.
Yeah, and that's part of the goal of these videos and this channel is we're hoping that people will start researching, months before they have to make a decision because we do know people Google, but there's just not a lot out there. It's hard to find on individual websites, but I'm hoping this will be like a hub of information for people once we have several hundred videos. It'll take time though. To kind of wrap it up, because I know we both have a couple appointments to get to, and we kind of try to fit this into a certain amount of time because people have other videos to watch and podcasts and things. I was curious if you had any closing thoughts, and if you do, love for you to share it. If you don't, of course, you got to tell us how to find you online and what the best way is to contact you.
Oh yeah. Well, and I mean, I appreciate you letting me talk. I think I rambled too much and probably covered everything I wanted to cover here. But obviously, everything's personal. Anybody who would be interested in my services, I want them to reach out to me personally. We've got our website, rtmedmobile.com, and my whole business model revolves around personal relationships. I like people to reach out to me individually so I can sit down with them in their homes, have people put a face with the name. So what I encourage people to do is call. And the phone number I give to people for my office is 435-770-7468. And I encourage people when they have questions on Medicare, medical equipment, anything in that realm to call me. So that's always my biggest encouragement is just reach out to me personally. Let me make a friend.
No, I think that's great. Yeah, face to face, and I still think it's the best way to do business. And of course, guys, like we've said in our previous videos, Alan's information is going to be in the description box below. If you have questions for him, of course, you can reach out at that number or go to his website, or you of course, can comment below. This video will be shared on some different social media. Again, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Again, Alan, thanks so much for coming, and we hope to see you soon.
Thanks, Stephen. I appreciate it. It was good to talk to you.
Thanks. Bye.